Morning, everyone, and welcome to Faculty of Computing and Informatics Research Talk this morning. My name is Jason, and I will be your moderator for today's program. Thank you so much again for taking the time to join us for this very special research talk. Before we begin, may I just kindly remind everyone to please have their microphones on mute during the talk. You may switch them on later again if you have any questions during the Q&A session. Thank you. So today we are very fortunate indeed to have Prof. Sulaiman Wadi Harun to share his experiences on research and journal publications. Firstly, very warm welcome to Prof. Sulaiman, and thank you so much indeed for so kindly agreeing to deliver this extremely valuable talk on research and journal publication experiences to our academic staff. If I may take a moment to briefly introduce our speaker for this morning. Sulaiman Wadi Harun received the BE degree in Electrical and Electronic Systems Engineering from Nagaoka University of Technology, Japan in 1996, and the M.Sc and Ph.D. degrees in Photonics Technology from University of Malaya in 2001 and 2004, respectively. He has nearly 20 years of research experiences on the development of optical fibers, optical fiber devices, including fiber amplifiers, fiber lasers, and fiber optic sensors. He's also involved in exploiting new nanomaterials such as graphene, carbon nanotubes, black phosphorus, topological insulators for various fiber lasers and sensors applications. Prof. Sulaiman has published more than 900 articles in WOS-ISI journals, and his papers have been cited more than 8,000 times with an H-index of 39, showing the impact on the community. He has successfully supervised more than 60 PhD students to completion. Currently, he is also working as an adjunct professor in Airlangga University, Indonesia, Duc Thang University, Vietnam, and Lincoln University College, Malaysia. He received the prestigious award of Malaysian Rising Star 2016 from the Ministry of Higher Education for his contribution in international collaboration. He's also a fellow of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia and also the founder and honorary advisor for the Optical Society of Malaysia. So Prof. Sulaiman, we will have 1 hour for your presentation from 9:30 to 10:30, followed by half an hour of Q&A from 10:30 to 11. So this program should conclude by 11. If I may now kindly invite Prof. Sulaiman to deliver his presentation. Over to you, Prof. Sulaiman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason, for your nice introduction. So I will share my slide. Okay, so can you see my slide?
Yes, I can see your slide very clearly.
Okay. So thank you, Jason, again, and UMS, especially on my friend Professor Abdullah, that introduced me to UMS and inviting me to share my knowledge or my experience in research. So I really appreciate this is my first time sharing or presenting something to the UMS. Okay, so this session is actually on to share my experience in research, and it's not totally right what I presented. That all my perception and my experience. Okay, they may not suitable for some people, but it's I would like to highlight what is research actually. So meaning of research actually careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search of new fact in any branch of knowledge. So we can do research in any branch of knowledge. Yeah? So it involves collecting data, learning and finding new knowledge, and it's about broadening your own horizon and advancing new knowledge. So this is in the textbook, what is research. So the most important thing is collecting data or information. So through maybe some type of research, through survey, through literature studies, and through experimenting and simulations. So why we collecting data actually to find the new knowledge. So the important here is to find the new knowledge and to share the knowledge and broadening our own horizon by sharing. So by sharing, so we get the feedback from the sharing, and actually so we can advance in new knowledge. So research process, if you see research process, so first you need to have a bright idea. So research process is all about the ideas. So writing paper or research is actually about the ideas. You have a bright idea. And when you have bright idea, you need to select a narrow and formulative question to be studied. You cannot study everything. So that's why you need to select a narrow and formulative question to be studied. So what type of thing that you want to tell when you have bright areas. So you need to design the experiment or methodology for the data collection. The first, you have idea, you want to say something, and then you need to prove. How to prove? Through your result and result through the data collection. You need to have result because these scientific words. And you need to analyze, organize, and summarize your data. So the important to get figures, lot of image and figures to prove your ideas. So and then you suggest you need to at the end of the actually you need to provide suggestion for the future works. So this actually the standard process for research. I think everybody know about this. And the two important elements. So research, they have two important elements. First is actually honesty. Honesty, because we are scientists, we should be honest about our result. If we cheat the result, mean we cheat ourselves. We cheat ourselves. So honesty is very important. Accuracy is also very important. These two important. So as researcher, so you need to be honest people and accurate. So that's why people study engineering science, especially because as human, we need to have these two elements. Honesty and accuracy is very important. So this is two important elements of the research that I will discuss later on. Right? And why publish? When we do research, we need to publish. So actually, why we publish paper? After we collect result, we do survey, we got some result, we need to publish. So if you ask me why I want to publish paper, okay, I want to submit for publishing. The first, I want to get rejections. When you submit paper, you want to get rejections. It's not to get acceptance. Actually, the first you need to get rejection, because from rejection you get feedback. Actually, you want to get feedback. You want to share your result, communicate with experts. Actually, the first why we publishing is to share our result and communicate. How we communicate with the expert, with the reviewer. So through rejection, you get feedback. So you get the comment, so you can improve your work. So this actually the important part. If you get acceptance or you get revision is also good, but it's not as good as you get rejection, because when you get rejection, you get more feedback from the reviewers. So actually to gain more knowledge on your topic, so you want become better. After you write paper, you submit the paper, you get the feedback, you get the rejection or acceptance, they can increase your knowledge on your topic. So you become better. And to help you to feel stronger about your work, be more confident about your work. If you don't publish, you do research but you don't publish, mean you like what people say short sendiri. So you don't be confident. So when you get acceptance or you publish your work, you feel more stronger about your work. You believe about your work. Okay, so you become more stronger by getting important criticism back from the reviewer who are expert in your field. So it depends what type of journal that you send. So the higher level of journal, for example, you send for Nature or Q1 journal or Q2 journal, so you get better feedback from the reviewers. Okay, it's also enable you to get familiar with other academic working in your topic, because when you want to write a paper, the most important thing you need to read, because reading is you cannot avoid. You want to write one paper, you need to read at least 10 papers. So normally more than 10 papers, maybe 100 papers. So you read 10 papers to write one paper. So you read more, so you know better about your field, about your work, about your research. So this is important. So where publishing is actually important to create opportunity and path in academic. So some people publish, of course, when you have good publication, you have better opportunities, you have promotion, so you get more invitation, so you can travel, because you can give your talk everywhere, because people invite you, because people know you from your publications, and you can get a lot of opportunity from outside. You can become adjunct professor. For example, I become adjunct professor for few university and get it's not big pay, but some pay from the things, and so this is important for academic. Okay, benefit. As I said, a lot of benefit for publication and research. Of course, now people say for the public benefit, so you need to put for public, but especially actually for research community and for us academicians, actually the benefit should be on the students. So we producing good students. And get more knowledge, so improve our teaching from research, because we understand more about our topic, so we can teach better to our students. So these are the benefit for us by doing research and publishing. Okay, so the best practice in research. So best practice in research, first you need to read. Of course, many people want to write paper but don't read. So it's wrong, you need to read a lot. So try to work within your limitation, because we are third world country. So we have limited resources. So we cannot do everything. We cannot, of course, first you need to read. You need to follow people from your better institutions that have better facilities, maybe good university. You read their work and you try to follow their works and try to follow their research. But of course, we have a lot of limitations. But we need to work within our limitations. So we no need to wait until we get the best result, better than the institution that have better facility from us to publish. So we no need to wait until that. So we need to try to work within our limitations, so your limitations. And as academicians, you need to equip your laboratory, especially if you work in experimental work like me. So mostly I work in experimental work, and we need to equip our lab, because of course some people like to pay the student. So you spend your money actually to pay your student RAs to do things, but if you don't have facilities, so you just pay money, the student cannot do good works. So this is important. You need to balance on paying people and paying for facilities, and facilities is better investment. And we are Malaysia, so normally our research funding is not that big. It's very small, so you cannot buy everything from one research funding. Okay, you need to accumulate. So maybe you get maybe 100,000 or 200K. It's not enough to buy equipment. So you need to accumulate something. You need to equip your lab by planning. So you need to have the long-term planning in your research work. And important thing is selecting and managing the students. So because the advantage of the university, so we have students. University, we have student as our human resource. So we have a free human resource. So we are better than research center. No, for no research institute like MIMOS, for example. So they don't have students. So they must do everything by their own. But for we have a lot of students that can implement our ideas. So selecting and managing the students is very important because the student, for example, PhD and master student, is not a normal, it's not like operator in factory. So they are clever people. So they are clever people. So handling is very important. And selecting also very important. Some people want only to take best students, first class student. If second class, they don't want. So actually that one also is not good strategy. And my strategy, normally I take all type of students. Because in a research team, you need to have everybody. You cannot have only clever student because clever student can give you very good ideas. But who are going to implement the ideas? You need some people that want to implement the idea. If clever plus clever, then they fight each other. They don't want to implement other people's idea because they have their own idea. Like you have many bosses. You have many bosses. So it's not good. Because the idea you have, we also have ideas. Because we are also clever. We claim ourselves are clever, so we have also idea. So it's not necessary to select a good student. Sometimes 2.0 student also can perform better than a 4.0 student. In terms of the important is attitude of students. So this important attitude that and normally if you pay the student, a free student is better from my experience. If you don't pay the student work very hard because they want to finish on time and they don't work for money. They work because they want to get degree. They want to learn and to get the degree. But if you pay, so maybe half of them don't want to study, they just want to get paid only. So this the things. And collaborations. So collaborations is very important. Collaboration is very important. So collaboration is like a friendship, especially for our third world country. So we have a limited resources. So by collaborating mean we can expand our facilities or our resources because our collaborator can contribute something to us. Collaboration is like a friendship. It takes time. It's not like business. Can be business. You pay and you get things, but mostly the sustainable collaboration is based on friendship. Friendship means you cannot just take from your friend. You need to give and take. So the more you give to people, the more you gain. People give back to you. So this important. So it's friendship is time. So it takes time. So you need to build up the trust. Okay, build up the trust. So by year and year, so you will get benefit from your collaboration because whatever you don't want, not necessary, so you can give to your partner. And whatever partner have something that you don't have, partner can contribute. So this is important for ourselves, especially if we have the limited resources. And another best practice in research is actually to write. So this is important. You need to compile your discoveries. So you need to have a report at the end of your project. So report should be in terms of papers, can be in terms of papers and so on. So write is very important. So. And we write the paper. So writing the paper is very important, and we need to write in maybe Scopus journal or ISI journal. You cannot write to put in any journal, so you need to be index journal. So why index journal is very important, because you need to be available online. So if you put in the index journal, so people can track your papers. You can track your papers, or so this is important. So not necessarily ISI. So they have many publishers like Elsevier and Web of Science, Thomson, and so lately is Simago, because all these things is require money, because university subscribe for all these things. Like now we subscribe, like we subscribe to Web of Science and Scopus long time ago. But start from this year, we do have more money. We do have money. We not even subscribe to Scopus and ISI. So you cannot access to Scopus or ISI anymore now in UN, for example. So it's not sustainable, because so the most of the university, new university, or like Indonesia now, so I also become adjunct professor for, I think, from the last 3 years in Airlangga Universities. So we work well with them. So they don't use Scopus or ISI, but they use Simago. And many countries, they use SCI Mago. Simago, there is a Simago is a free database. Free database. So everybody can access. So this is more sustainable. Okay. And this Web of Science or ISI, why this important? Because you can track your output, your publication, people can see, and you also can track. So your citation can be tracked by people. So people can check your biography, everything easily through the website, Web of Science or ISI. That's why we need to publish in this type of journals, and university to subscribe on this type of database. So this very, very important. And we go back on the writing. So writing a scientific papers. So the first question, so when you want to write papers, the first question, have I got sufficient data to support my conclusion? Of course, when you write something, you cannot write from nothing. You need to have something to write. So you need to have sufficient data to support my conclusions. Okay, so you need to have a look to the typical journal in your field. So different field of study, they have different type of journals, and you need to learn from that. You need to read and to see these journals. So how the result section look like, how people write the paper. You need to study that, especially for the young lecturer. You need to look to that. So what do the research section look like? So you need to imitate them. Need to imitate them. So how normally how many page, how they write introduction, how they write result, how they present the figures, especially the figures. When you want to start the new field, you need to see their figures. So when you do research, you need to take the similar figures. You need to take the similar type of figures. Okay, similar nature of figures. Otherwise you not follow the correct methodologies. So the methodologies of research is determined by how you collect the results. Okay, to support your ideas or your arguments. Okay. So we go writing strategies. So there are various strategy. For the normally people have ideas. When you have ideas, you do research. You do reading, you do the experiment, collect results, analyze result, and get the graph done, and then you write paper. This is a normal strategies. But this is not the right way to do things for productive people. For not normal people, but for special people, they don't follow this one. So you have ideas. The first you have ideas, you need to write paper first, and then you do research. You go opposite way. So you have idea, you write something. You get idea, you write some portions of the papers. You write papers, or some people they write the literature review paper first. So you like what they call the review paper first. They write the review paper first, or you can try to write something first. You read and write. From that writings, you will see how people present the result, and then to get the similar result, so you need to do research. You need to do your experiments. So this approach is become more popular if you want to get a fast output and more effective of the research. So you have your idea, you write papers, and you do research. It's not get idea, do research, and write papers. Okay, so by doing that, by you have idea, you write paper and do research, you force us to be clear, focus. Okay, if you write, so you know what you want, so this can force you to be clear about what you want and focus. So you'll be more focused and crystallize what we don't understand. Okay, when you write, so you know the part that you don't understand, so you can crystallize what we don't understand. And open the way to dialogue with others. When you write the review paper, for example, so you get earlier feedback, so open the way to dialogue with others. So you have the reality check, you get the earlier critics and collaboration. Because when you write, you know what you don't have, you need other partners, so you can initiate early collaboration. This the advantage to have the second approach, to have idea, to write paper first. So don't wait, write. So this is important. And the purpose of your paper, why you write the paper, the purpose, why you write paper and give talk actually mainly to impress others, gain recognition and get promoted. To become professor, you need to write papers. You need to give talk. Actually, this actually the fallacy. It's not the real purpose of research and writing your papers actually. So the main purpose of your paper is actually to communicate ideas. Actually, communication is just like communications. You're not to work in silo. Even though you are in the labs, even though I stay most of the time in my lab, people see that I'm not interacting with other people. People think that we are lonely. We are researcher in lonely. You stay in the lab, in the corners. You don't have life. You are lonely. But it's fallacy. It's a fallacy. Actually, we do research, we write paper. Actually, we are not lonely people. So we have many friends. We are communicate ideas. Actually, our brain is always communicating with other people. So paper communicate ideas. Mean if we write a lot of paper, mean we communicate with many people. We communicate ideas. So the greatest ideas are worthless are useless if you keep them to yourself. Some people they have a lot good ideas. So they say they have good idea. They graduate from maybe Cambridge, maybe from Imperial College, first class degree. They have very good ideas. They are very clever. They 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 are looking for the greatest ideas, but they didn't write any single paper. So they keep everything to themselves until they die. So you become academician 30 years, 40 years, but didn't write any papers. So never communicate ideas to people. So these people is useless. Even though you graduate from good university, you can speak very good English. You speak like British people. So, but you don't write anything. You don't communicate ideas. So you are useless actually. But of course, some people see this type of people is clever people, good people. But I think this type of people is useless. So when you have the greatest idea, are useless. Actually, the greatest idea are useless if you keep them to yourself, to your grave. So this important. So the purpose of your paper is actually to communicate ideas. So the ideas, what is the ideas? So definitions of idea are reusable insight, useful to the reader. Okay, so the idea must be useful to the readers. Otherwise, nobody want to read your paper. There is, so the idea should be useful to the readers. So you need to figure out what your idea is. Make certain that the reader is no doubt what the idea is. Be 100% explicit. Okay, so in your paper, you need to tell your ideas. So the important in writing paper is actually to tell the people the idea. Okay, so the research actually the way you to prove your idea. When you have idea, you need to test your idea. When you test and pass your test, you get good result, you get analyzed result, so you need to present it. So you need to write explicitly in your paper, 100% explicit. So you need to tell your idea clearly in the papers. So normally you need to use this word in the papers. Like the main idea of this paper is you need to say that in these papers we present them something, the contribution of the paper, the idea. You must tell explicitly in your papers. So many papers contain good ideas. So, but do not distill what they are. So sometimes you write papers, so you have idea there, but the reader don't know your idea. So you need to have some part in your paper to tell your idea. This is important. When people read your paper at the end, so they need to understand. So they need to know what is your idea. This is important. So you need to tell clearly in your paper your ideas. Okay, one thing, one idea. So each paper should have one idea. It's many the young students or young researchers. So normally they want to tell everything in one paper. So you want to tell everything. So it's cannot. So one paper should be one idea. Otherwise, very difficult to write. How to write the motivation, because you have many purpose. Okay, so very difficult to write the paper if you have many ideas in your papers. So your paper should have just one thing, one idea, one clear and sharp ideas. So read your paper again. Can you hear the pings? So you need to hear the ping, the idea from the papers. So this is important. You need to hear you need to hear the idea from the paper. You need to know your idea. When you read papers again, so you need to know the ideas. If you cannot discover your ideas, so it's not good papers. It's not good papers. You may not know exactly what the ping is when you start writing, but you must know your idea when you finish writing. So when you finish writing, you need to know what you want to tell the readers. You need to know what is the one idea, one ping that you want to tell. It's not many ping, one ideas only. So if you have a lot of ideas, you write a lot of papers. So it's not a big deal. If you have hundreds of ideas, you can write hundreds of papers. Okay, so don't write hundred of ideas in one paper. So one ping, one paper. So a narrative flow of your papers. When you write papers, when you do the academic writings, so they have a flow narrative like this. So it's a standard. So actually, academic writing is not difficult. It's very easy. You can write a lot of papers fast because you are not like art people that you need to you don't write novel that don't follow the format. You need to if you write scientific papers, everything in certain format. So the writing is not that difficult. If you use to that, it's very fast. You can write. I can write one paper one day. So because they follow formats. Actually, they follow a certain format. So the format is actually the first. They must follow this flow. Here is a problem. You need to highlight the problem. You need to tell in the paper, here is a problem. So your problem must be interesting problem. You must tell the reader that your problem is interesting. Even though it's not interesting, you need to write so that it look interesting problem. So it's important. The problem that you highlight must be interesting. Otherwise, there's no novelty. Okay, it's an unsolved problem. So unsolved problem. So you need to tell that your problem here is unsolved problem so that you have a novelty and you tell here is my ideas. Normally at the end of introduction, this part 1, 2, 3, 4 is actually inside the introduction. So introduction must be covered these 4 parts. So the last part you need to highlight explicitly, tell your ideas. Here is my idea. So you need to tell the end of your introduction. So my idea work, the detail, the data here you need to explain in the methodology, another section like methodology. So you need to explain how my idea works. My idea works. You need to explain that your idea is working. And here how my idea compared to other people approach. So good paper, you need to have comparison. That's why you need to have a lot of citation. You need to cite your paper to the previous paper. So you need to compare your idea with other people's. So people want the good paper, the reviewer see is it any comparison inside the paper. So you need to have this comparison. So here how my idea compared to other people approach. This important, and of course you need to tell your idea is better than others as a conclusion. So you have conclusion, my idea is better than other people's ideas. So this actually the structures of your paper. So they have introduction that cover the 4 points here. They have a body here, my idea work, result and discussion, or methodology and result and discussion. This is the main body, and they have the conclusion that you see. Conclusion is my idea is better than your ideas or other people's ideas, the previous ideas. Okay, and publication process. When you want to publish, so okay, I think we go publication process later. Maybe the structures. The structures of papers. So they have abstract. You have title first. You have abstract, you have introduction, you have a problem, my idea, the details, related works, and conclusion, and further works. Normally, this roughly the papers. So abstract is very short. There's normally 4 sentences, introduction, 1 page. Okay, so this normally the structures of the papers. And we go one by one. What is title? Title must be informative, accurate, and concise. So this is important, titles. So title must be as short as possible. Of course, sometimes you cannot avoid. You need to have long title but they must be informative, accurate, and concise. So good title is defined as the fewest possible word that adequately describe the content of the paper. It's like describe the content of the paper. So the idea, you have idea. So idea is summarized in the title actually. Okay, the smallest summary is in the titles. And you have abstract. Abstract is actually the content of your idea, the paper actually, in the in more words. We write in the abstract and the paper actually. Okay, so the abstract and the paper must have the same structures. Okay, so the title is extremely important because one, you want to get the citation. People will get enticed with your titles. Normally, people read your title first. If your title is no informative, is not catchy, so people only read your title. They don't read your abstract and don't read your content. So the important, you need, by reading the title, you need to entice readers to read the entire papers. So this is important. So you need to have a good titles. Abstract. So what is abstract? Abstract is actually a concise single paragraph summary of the completed works. Okay, so a summary, short summary that have a problem or objective. So you must highlight the problem. They must have problem then. So the objective to solve the problem. So they have a statement of the problem and objective in one sentence maybe. Methodology is one sentence. Finding the result in one sentence. And research effect and impact is another sentence. So 4 sentences that cover this thing. Or you can be more, depend on the type of journals. But the trend of the abstract from maybe 20 years ago, the abstract normally is longer. And 10 years ago, it became shorter and now become more shorter because everything is online. They want to reduce the space. So normally they restrict. So maybe in those days 500 word, and now 200 word, and this some journal, good journal, sometimes they limited into 100 word or smaller and smaller. Maybe in future it's become shorter and shorter. This the trend. So the objective of your abstract are to seduce the reader to read your papers. So must summarize all part of your papers. So normally they consist of 4 sentences. The same thing is here, the problem and objective. You need to state your problem or the purpose of your studies. So say why it is interesting problem. This is important. You need to tell that your problem is interesting problem or brief description of the experiment. Methodology, you need to have methodology part that tell about how you do your experiment or how you do your survey. All these things. Say what your solution achieve, the result. You need to have findings here. You need to tell the result in one sentence. And the last part, important conclusion. Research effect is actually an important conclusion. You need to put like important conclusion or question that follow from the experiments. Okay, so or the impact. So the last sentence. So this actually the structures of the abstract, and it's depend on the journal style. So sometimes you need to refer to the journals, but mostly you need to have these 4 elements. And introduction. Introduction actually they consist of maybe 3 parts. You need to explain what is known, what is the other people knows, our understanding of the world. Okay, the first part you need to tell what is known, and second, what is unknown, mean the research gap. What's the gap we need to fill? You need to tell what is unknown. First, the known, or you can and then the second part should be tell what is the unknown. So how and why should we fill the gap? This important, the motivation, your rationale and purpose of the study. So they must have these elements, this 1 and 2 and 3, or sometimes we write introduction. First, we need to highlight the problem to be addressed. Normally, the first you need to tell, highlight your field. Okay, the field of your studies, or the thing that everybody knows about that. And the second, the problem to be addressed, and then you need to highlight the problem to be addressed and the background and literature review, and the new development and principal result, the previous result. So you need to tell the previous result, and at the end you need to tell the research purpose and method. Okay, this way we explain further on these three structures there. What is known? So give a strong statement that reflect your research subject area. So the first step to show what is already known, actually you need to give a strong statement that reflect your research subject area. So you need to give a statement about your research subject. If you do like renewable energy, you need to explain why the first statement that renewable energy is very important areas. So you need to tell people. So you need to state the topic and problem explored in your study. So don't state the obvious or broad fact about your topic. Highly relevant information is always more useful, actually. Okay, so here you should also be sure to cite all the source references. So the introduction should have a lot of citation there. So you need to put the citation. Why you need to put the citation? Because you want to tell that your area of research is very important areas. And the problem that you are solving is a very interesting problem. So step 2, to show the gap in knowledge. So highlight area that too little available information. That the thing that you want to explore, you need to highlight area of too little available information and explain how we should fill in that gap. So the third step, to show how your study fill in the knowledge gap. State your purpose, give a clearer hypothesis and objective of the study. Okay, because we have limited of time, I need to go fast on this. Normally, you have a problem statement, previous work to solve the problem. You have problem, previous work to solve the problem, and limitation of the previous work. You need to tell the limitation, and you need to introduce your ideas. So highlight the advantage of the proposed scheme and explain about your work. So this normally the introductions. And the second section is on the research methodology, on the material, methods, experiment, simulation. This is actually the research methodology part. It should be the easiest section to write, actually. You need, the objective is actually to document all the specialized material, general procedure, or method, so that other people can follow your work. Other people, when you read, they read this section, they can repeat your experiment. So the idea, you need to allow other people to repeat your experiment. So by reading this part, actually, other people can repeat your experiment. So the good research methodology is section is if people read, people can do or repeat the experiment. This important. Okay, method parts. So detail. So what you need to put a lot of details in this part. A knowledgeable reader should be able to reproduce the experiment. This important. If people read your paper and they cannot repeat the experiment, mean your methodology section is not good. You need to use reference for previously published procedures. Do not repeat details that explained in other papers. So this for ethical. Okay. And then the next part, result and discussion. So result. So you need to present your result. Mean you need to prepare your figures. A lot of figures. So present and illustrate your finding and provide the interpretation. So actually, why we have a lot of figures or graph? Because to guide us to explain. Because we just explain our figures. We need to provide an interpretations of your result. Okay, to support your conclusion. So if you have 10 figures, you need to explain all these things in appropriate depth. The important, you need to interpret your data in the appropriate depth. Should be as deep as possible, but sometimes because we don't know everything, sometimes we don't have answers, so you just stop there. You don't. So you try to explain as deep as possible. So this is important. Okay, appearance is important. So the appearance of your figures, graph, picture that you put must be clear, must be readable, clear. So this is very important. So the appearance is count. So that people can judge you are amateur or you are professional. If you provide a good figure, the chance to get accepted is very high. So people like very good image. So this is important. And conclusion, there's two main part of the conclusion. You need to repeat your main ideas in your conclusion, and you need to have a future statement. So same thing like introduction, you need to introduce your work, provide a result and application advantage of your future works. You need to explain in maybe 4 or 5 sentences there. Okay, so this the conclusions. And reference, you must follow suitable format. Normally some journal very critical, so they need you to follow their formats. Normally now people use EndNotes, but sometimes EndNotes also, EndNotes is depend how people upload their citation in the EndNote. If they wrongly put, so it's wrongly come up in your papers. So, but it's good to use EndNote, easy, especially if you have a lot of references. You need to put priority on the reference from the same journal that you intend to send. And you need to use new reference within 5 years. The reference should be new to show that your work is interesting and up to date. It's new. So don't use the old references, and you need to use references from the good journal. You cannot use references from the fake journals. Some like journal, scam journal, so you put reference. So if people see, so they will reject your papers. So normally you should put reference from the same journal or better journal than your current journals. If you can put from nature, it's good. So this is important to put references from a good journal. And then when you finish writing, you need to get in help. So you need to get your paper read by as many as friends possible, because you cannot see your mistake, but your friend can see your mistakes. You cannot see your mistake, but your friend can see. expert and good, but non-expert are also very good. So very, not necessarily expert, but non-expert also. Your friends that is not expert also very good because they can see the mistakes. Huh? So this listening to reviewer comment. So the important part, I think, for me, through my experience, writing paper is easy for me. I can write, maybe one day I sit down, I can write, finish one papers if all resources is there. But
Hello again, everyone. Seems like our speaker may be having some technical difficulties. So maybe we just wait for a few minutes and hopefully Prof. Sulaiman can rejoin. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. Very sorry, it seems that I'm unable to reach Prof. Sulaiman, so he must be having some very serious technical issues. So I will try my best to get the slides from Prof. Sulaiman and I will share to everyone who has attended. So I think we will end the session here for now. So thank you again for joining and apologies again for the technical difficulties. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Prof. Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Jason. Bye.
Okay, we seem to have Prof. Sulaiman back already. Okay, so sorry, Prof. Sulaiman, your mic is turned off.
okay, so until which slide I disconnect? I'm not aware.
Conclusion.
Conclusions.
Yes, yes.
Or conclusion. So maybe I repeat on the conclusion. Okay, these conclusions. So the final recommendations.
Sorry, Prof. Sulaiman. Conclusion for the paper writing, not your conclusion.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I think maybe slides back.
Which conclusion? Oh, long time, eh? This,
yeah. Yes, yes. 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 Thank you.
I see. Okay. But we still got time, Jason?
Yes, yes. We have time. Yeah, we maybe cut short the Q&A, but your talk is very informative, so I think we go on. Thank you.
Okay, so writing conclusion, there are two main parts of the conclusion. First, you need to repeat the main idea that you tell and the future statement. These two main part. So the first sentence actually to introduce your work. So you have your result and the application and the advantage of all the future works. So this is how we write the conclusion. Normally the content is almost the same with abstract, but slightly modification. So you can put some application of future work actually in your conclusion in last paragraph. Reference. Okay, reference. You need to follow a suitable format for the references, depend on the journal, and you need to put priority on the references from the same journal that you intend to send. This very important because you need to put reference from the same journal or better journals. The same or better journals. If you can put in the Nature journal is better. And then you need to use a new reference. New reference means within 5 years. Within 5 years. Why we need to put the new reference? To show that your paper or your work is interesting, is new and interesting. So you need to use new references. And now people use EndNote. EndNote is good. Especially if you have a lot of references. If you have a lot of references, it's better to have a EndNote because to use EndNote. But sometimes EndNote, it depends how people put citation. in the people from journal, how they put in the system and not system. Sometimes if they put wrongly, so you get the wrong citation. So sometimes you need to correct this one. Okay, so the important for reference to follow suitable format, use reference from a better journal or good journals, and use a new references. And then getting help. When you need to getting help, after you write the paper, you need to get your paper read as many as you need to ask your friend to read, because it's important, because you cannot see your mistake, but your friend can see your mistake. And experts are good, but non-experts are also very good. So this is important, because this non-expert can observe, can see your mistake, because the rate of acceptance is depend on the mistake. Less mistake means better chance go then. So how to reduce the mistake? Mean you cannot see your mistake, but your friend can see the mistake. So you need to get help as soon as possible. So each reader can only read your paper for the first time once. So use them carefully. So that's why we need to reduce the mistake. Okay. Listening to the reviewer. This is very important. The most difficult part in writing the paper is actually in publishing the paper. It's not on the writing. Writing draft is quite easy. It's not that difficult. But the most challenging part is actually to answer the referee comment. This most challenging part. And you learn a lot through this process, because you get a lot of feedback. You need to answer and then you need to use your quality time. You know, you cannot do the answer to the referee comment on the afternoon, for example, when you are tired. So you need to write answer to the referee comment, maybe, you know, in the morning. So you need to have a quality time to do this task, because it's quite challenging task. So listening, you need to answer to your referee. This is important. Answer all the questions. And sometimes the referee asks the thing that you cannot answer. One thing you don't know the answer. Another thing, you cannot repeat experiment. Maybe they ask you to do certain experiment, but you cannot do. Okay, so how to solve this thing? So you need to try to show to the referee that you are do your part enough. So you try your best to answer the question. So you need to put extra result. For example, they ask this result, certain result, but you cannot perform experiment on that. Even though you cannot perform experiment, you cannot provide that result. But if you add other result that you can perform to compensate for that, so the referee will appreciate. Because the referee also human. The referee is also human like us. So they will see your effort. So you did a lot of effort in answering the review comment, they will accept your paper normally. Yeah. So this is really, really hard, but it's really, really important, listening to your reviewer. And basic stuff here, so you cannot use a small font. The appearance of your paper must be good. You need to minimize the mistake. This is important, because the less the mistake, the higher the chance you to get published. Because most of the referee, actually maybe 80%, is not expert in your field. Right? Maybe only 20% that really expert, but maybe 80% is not expert. They are not doing the same thing with you. So they don't know, but they trust you. How they judge you is through your mistake. If you do a lot of mistake, mean you not professional. You like you amateur, stay amateur. So their impression is bad about you, and they will reject your paper. This is important. So that's why we need to minimize the mistake, and the presentations of our graph, the formatting must be good, to show that we are professional. Okay, scientific language term that normally people use, normally we use present tense for the non-fact. Okay, past tense for the experiment that you have conducted, and past tense when you describe the result on the experiment. So this the tense guideline for the tense. Submission, when you submit the paper, you need to eliminate any trace of prior rejection. This is important. If you think yourself as referee, if you know the paper has been previously rejected from other journal, of course you have bad impression about the paper, you think the paper is not good, and you also not really expert, so normally you will reject. You will reject the paper because of record. That's why you need to eliminate any trace of prior rejection. So you need to submit your paper to Rising Journal so that you can get better citation later on. And this important when we publish paper in the Rising, because we need to make sure another 10 years our paper is there. The journal is not dead. Some journal, they disappear. So disappear, your paper also disappear, your hard work also disappear. So you need to submit to the Rising Journal. So you do not submit two papers in the same journal in 2 months, for example. So you cannot submit a lot of paper into same journals. This is important. You need to divide your work into different journals. You cannot target only one journal. If you target only one journal, because they will reject because they see the redundancy there. Okay, they will see the redundancy because they want also people from other people. So this is important. Check for related article in the journal being considered. This is important. Avoid journal which consistently reject your paper, because journal they have bias. So if they always reject your paper, so actually this content paper is not suitable for that journal. So you need to know the bias of the journal. So don't submit to the journal that consistently reject our papers. So use professional editorial assistant. Don't not arouse envy by using fancy font. Don't use fancy font. Do not cite too much our own paper. This is important. If you do a lot of self-citation, mean you are a manipulator. So some referee don't like this, and then they will reject your paper, especially when you submit to the Q1 paper or the high impact journals. So when you write in the good journals, so you need to avoid to cite your own paper too much. Maybe 1 or 2 paper to citation for one paper is okay. So you need to know the preference or bias of journals. So depend on the type of paper that you want to submit. So the journal they get bias or preference. So you need to know that to get better chance to get accepted. And as summary, you need to start early. When you do research and writing, you need to start early. You need to write. Don't wait when you get the best result to write. No need to wait that, because when you write a lot of paper, you learn more, so you can improve your work. Okay, you get feedback, so you can improve your research. So you need to start early in writing. Okay, if you remember nothing, so this 3 is important when you write paper. So you need to identify your key ideas. One paper must have one thing or one ideas. So make your contribution explicit. You need to tell in the paper your contribution. This important, and you need to use a simple language. Simple language is important because you know the referee mostly from China. So the Chinese, they don't speak like Englishmen. They don't write like Englishmen. They write the simple. If you write the complicated, is maybe your English is too good, sometimes it's bad. You know, because you know one time I submit the paper checked by Englishmen. So they they put my paper perfect English. But I get the referee comment from China that say must improve my English. Because the Chinese English and the real the British English difference, and the British won't become your examiner. Your examiner is Chinese, so you need to be the same level. Okay, and then this important. So minimize mistake is very important. So the chance, so the grammatical errors, typo error, the mistake in your graph, the appearance, so spell typo error, very important. You need to reduce the mistake, actually, because the examiner normally is not expert. So they judge your paper based on how much mistake that you make. So if you make less mistake, mean your chance to get accepted is so much higher. And the most important, to listen to the reviewer comment. You need to answer all the reviewer comment. Try your best. If you don't know, also you need to answer. Mean you just answer different way. How you and if you put additional result, if you put long additional discussion and additional result in your paper, your reviewer will be very happy. And then normally they accept your papers. Okay. And how does your work get cited, actually? So when you publish paper, the first you publish paper, okay, actually when you to get citation, mean you need to encourage people to publish the similar work with you, to follow your work. This is important. So some people, they do something, they don't want other people to do the same thing like them. This is a wrong attitude for academician, very wrong. Because if less people follow you, mean less people will cite your work, you will get less citation. You are not important. You important if people follow your work. So this, you need to make people publish. So that's why collaboration very important. So you need to collaborate, to have your collaborator so that they can do, your collaborator can do good work, and then they can write paper. So when they can write paper, they can cite your paper. This is important. You publish and you need to make the people publish and citing you. And so normally when you publish and then people, the first you publish and people will find your work and people read your works, and then people engage with your work or an aspect of your works. And people will prioritize in citing you. People know you and we prioritize in citing you. And then people will publish and citing you. This is the process how we get the citations. So step by step, first you publish, mean there's no public, if you know publication, you have no citation. This is the basic rule. So to get citation, you need to publish your work. So you need to publish more. So more paper you publish mean you get more publications. And then you need to publish in ISI journal or Scopus journal or the thing that people can access. Or you publish in open access so you can get more citations. So where to publish is important. And then you need to keep the same name, for example, because if you always change your name, orientations of your name, you change your affiliation, so people will get confused. So when people get confused, you will get less citation. This is important. And people find your work. How to get people to find your work? So most importantly, your title must be catchy, must be good. And keywords. Keyword is important when you put keyword before, so that people easy to find your work. And abstract also very important. So from this source, actually, people can easily find your work. So you need to get people to find your work. When people find your work, people will read. So you need to make sure people read. That's why you need to write a good paper. Your paper will be interesting. You need to write good titles so that when people read the title, they will read your abstract. So after your read your abstract, so people will read your paper. So abstract must be catchy, must be informative, so that people know the information from your abstract and people want to know more, and then they will read your paper. So this is important. And people engage in your work. So your work must be interesting, must be novel, must be controversial, must have the useful framework. This is important because without this, so people cannot engage. So sometimes you need to do easy work also. If you do the difficult work, you know, people cannot repeat, people cannot follow, so people cannot engage with your aspect, so you will get no citations. And people will shape your work based on your paper. People will follow your paper, so they may disagree with your, so they may cite your things. So they may use your term, your framework, so they remember your work. When they remember your work, they can prioritize to cite you. Okay, and then you have to be engaged people who publish. So so people when you engage these people that publish the paper, and then these people will cite you. Okay, effective strategy for increasing citation means you need to choose your title carefully. It's a key for two people to find in your work. So this is important. The title must be concise enough. Publish your paper in open access journal. We increase the chance to get more citation, but open access is paid journal. But for me, I never pay for my publications. For the last, I think, 5 years, I never spend my money to publish. I don't publish in open access except is free. But of course, if you publish in open access, you pay, you get more citation. But I don't believe on paying for publications. So choose keyword carefully to make sure your article will be found. Keyword important, cite your past work when it's relevant to the new manuscript. So this self-citation, extensive self-citation is not good, but you need to have also self-citation. Only 1 or 2 you need to have cite your previous work because you promote your previous work. You need to promote. If you don't cite your previous paper, you don't promote. So people, when people read one paper, your paper, they know another paper, your work, too. Your work. This important. So people know about your past work, and then they can cite your past work or your current works. So you publishing with many authors also is good strategy. When you have many co-authors, they have networking. So a lot of networking is important. The more networking that you have, you will get more citations. Use more references. This also good. Okay, when you write a review paper, you get more citation because a lot of people write to read a review paper because review paper have a lot of information. They get a lot of information from the review paper. That's why if you write review paper, you get more citation. And publish in journal with high impact is also increase chance to get to be cited. Self-achieved paper, you need to always distribute your paper to your friends, to make available in the internet. In ResearchGate is important so that more people will read your paper and you get more citations. And then this normally that how people manipulate to get citation. Lesson from expert. But it's not ethical because if you do unethical thing, people will study about you. People will report. So like there is certain group, you know, they will catch this type of people. They will study. They will publish about these people. So this example, the publication by this guy, so they can increase H index from 20 to 43 within 3 years. How they did is actually they do a lot of self-citations. So for example, it's one paper, they cite 40 self-citation out of 49 references. So people write the paper by him. So they put this paper, for example, this paper, they have 49 reference, but 40 is self-citation. You cannot do like this type of manipulation, but this how people do, how people cheat. So you need also know. So make student write and cite your paper. So you have many students, student write a lot of paper and cite your papers. So you get a lot of papers. And you attend conference, because normally conference, like not only the normal conference, our conference, but like the international conference, famous conference like SPIE also. Normally conference is different platform. Normally they will accept all the paper that you submit, because they want the purpose actually is not, they want people networking. The main purpose is networking. They want as many people to come and interact networking. So they don't care about the novelty and so on. And the paper are not refereed. Normally are not refereed. They tell referee, but it's not refereed. When you become referee to the conference, you need to consider. You need to give chance to everybody to come to the conference. Normally we accept if we are reference. So when you add a lot of self-citation, so you can increase. For example, this guy, they present 6 papers in one conference, SPIE. They say SPIE conference, they send 6 papers, and each paper have 27 to 40 self-citations. So in one conference, they attend conference, they will get 176 self-citations. If you attend 10 conference per year, so you will get time 10. So this is how people manipulate things. And rapid self-citations. Normally where they put the self-citation, because citation, normally people put the first 2 sentences. The first 2 sentences here, for example, this guy, they have this, the high power density requirement in a nitride laser and light emitting diode. So they put a lot of 19 reference for the first sentence. Lot of. So normally people put the self-citation in the first 2 sentences. So excessively in the first 2 sentences. People refer as rapid self-citations. Okay, quote more references to make the thing is not obvious. You can increase the number of reference. When you increase the number of reference, if you put increase your number of self-citation, it's not obvious. If you have 15 self-citation, for example, if you quote 18 others, so it's like a small percentage of self-citation, but already you have 15 self-citation. Okay. And double, triple publication, sometimes the same result they publish, they copy and paste, so they publish the same article 2 or 3 times, just change a little bit. So you can increase more citations, and then you have patent some more, like for example this. Okay, new strategy. So that one self-citation, the old strategy, and people do the citation club. I cite your paper, you cite my papers. Oh, so this called cartel. Become or journal editor. When you become journal editor, you can force the contributor to cite your papers. They call the cautious citation. These are the new strategies. Okay, you submit to this Photonics and International Journal of Photon Energy. The journal that guy become editors. You submit to this journal. So make sure you cite the editor paper. You cite the editor paper, magic happen. Magic happen means your paper will get accepted. So this how people play, people manipulate. And moral standard. So you need to establish a reputation of reliable and honest. This is important. So if you cheat, sooner or later, people will know, people will judge, especially when you're young. If you old like me, okay, you can do mistake because your future is short already. But if you're young, you cannot do so much manipulation. Especially when you're young, you don't know your future. Maybe you become somebody in the future. If you nobody care about you. You can do a lot of mistake. You can use a lot of manipulation. Nobody care. But sometimes you become, like for example, you become VC, Vice Chancellor, or you become minister. So people will dig you, will find your mistake. And if you do a lot of manipulation, you know, because everything is internet. When you publish, it's available. The proof is available in website, online. So this is important for young researcher. So don't be too manipulative, but don't scare so much. We need everybody manipulate, but you need sometimes you manipulate also, but cannot be excessive. Cannot be excessive manipulations. And sometimes now we have two things, similarity. Sometimes we scared to copy. We scared on the similarity. Similarity will kill you normally. You need to copy people first. You need to not copy lah. It's not, don't use word copy, but you need to follow the people first. You need to, sometimes your English is not good. You need to copy sentence, explanation from the other, especially for the young, for the students. So you need to do that process first. You need to copy first, and later on, you know how to change what you copy to become your own words. So this is important, but you cannot stop. Sometimes we too straight on the similarity. On the similarity, we afraid on the similarity, and you do nothing. You need to do your work. Don't scare about similarity, tunity. Tunity is just guideline. Sometimes that's why when you get similarity 40%, for example, some journal they still accept because they know sometimes similarity is you cannot avoid. You cannot avoid on the similarity. It's just a guide. It's not like you need to. You cannot follow the other people's sentence. So this they not encourage, but if your English is not good, but you need to also follow, you know. So this is important. This the balance that you need to take. So be prepared to give advice to those who seek advice from you. Accept to review paper from journal. Okay, so this some moral standard. Be optimistic and friendly with colleagues. All this. Okay. Yeah. So final recommendation. This is final before we stop. Research is fun actually. Research is not the boring thing. As people think, we stay in the lab. Even though we stay in the lab, we let's go out to have coffee with our friends. But actually, we are always communicating with people. As I said, we write paper, we communicate with others actually. We are not lonely. We always talking, communicating actually. So it's a fun actually. Publish and flourish. It's actually a game. Publishing. You need to publish. You know, now Indonesia, so they encourage on publication. Not only Malaysia. Last time Malaysia, now we don't pay for the publication, but like country like Indonesia now, some top university in Indonesia they pay as big as 15,000, you know, ringgit, 15,000, but 50 million, 50 juta per paper. So they pay about 15,000 ringgit for per papers. Is Indonesia and Vietnam they pay papers. So this a trend that we cannot. So we need to involve in the publication, ranking, of course. You know, but ranking is important. ranking, even though people just critique on the ranking, they say, but you don't trust the ranking. Let's say we rank at, I think we are, this year we are better than, I think, like a top university, Tokyo University. We are better actually in terms of ranking, but you don't trust that. You know, this is all just game. So you don't trust, but you need to involve with ranking. You need to follow other people to play with this, but you don't trust. If you trust, is you gone. You know, you cannot trust on the ranking, but you need to know the game. You cannot avoid, you cannot boycott on the ranking system. So this important. Publish and flourish. Writing up require passion, is worth and your effort actually. By writing, you get the feedback about your work, and then from the feedback you can improve your work, and then you get more confident. So this important. So nobody is perfect, everybody is perfect. So don't worry about the mistake. Don't worry about rejections of paper, and don't worry about similarity. Don't worry so much about plagiarism, as long as you honest. Honest mean you don't purposely plagiarize. You know, you do, but don't worry to copy, to follow people. This is important. Sometimes you very strict to your student, so it's not good also. So because nobody is perfect, everybody do mistake. So be thankful to the reviewer. This is important because reviewer give you comment, and they give, they not get paid. They free service, reviewer. So they give you a lot of comments, sometimes 10 pages of report. So you need to appreciate them. So this is important. If you have time, you also need to review the papers. Okay, I think that's all for today's. Sorry for halfway disappear just now. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. So now we open on the question. Of course, within this 1 hour, I cannot tell everything. I cannot share everything, but I just share the most important part. But you can always reach me. You can always email me. You can find my name in the website, my email. You can always advise. If you need more advice, you can always contact me personally. And if you want, you would also in my field, you want to collaborate, you are welcome. So to establish connection, and UMS. So this important. As a researcher, collaboration is very important. Networking, as academic work is, we need to always establish networking. Okay, thank you very much, Jason, and we open for the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. Sulaiman. Very frank and very valuable presentation. You share so many insights, like for example, being honest.
Okay.
Also, you mentioned you submit to get rejection. I think that's a very, very good motivation for many of us. We always submit thinking we want acceptance.
Okay.
And also to write first and then do the research. So thank you. We really appreciate all your valuable and this experience for sharing with us. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, please, you may direct them to Prof. Sulaiman. Thank you. So Prof, maybe since no question yet, I start the ball rolling.
Okay.
I'm very curious. I did a very quick calculation. It seems you are teaching 60 to 70 papers a year, Prof. So
yes, I publish about 60 or 70, but I'm not alone. You know, I have a big group, many collaborators, so it's not alone. But of course, I also write my own lot of paper. I spend a lot of time in the lab, but important, you need to have a group, you know. You need to have student, because student, when you take student, you need to graduate student. You need, so So student will come to you if you have good track record. So as academician, you need to have a good track record. It's important. You need to maintain. When you have a good track record, you don't have problem to find student or so you need to maintain. When you teach student, you need to make sure your student graduate. This is important.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from the attendees, please? You can type in the chat box also. I can help you to read out your question to Prof. Sulaiman.
Okay, there is a question from Riza about the self-citation. Actually, self-citation is required. Actually, normally if you have a good paper, no, I say excessive. It's not advisable. You know, because when you write paper, if your paper you don't cite your previous work, mean you are new. You know, if you are professional, of course you have the previous work. Okay, that's why you need to have self-citation. You need to cite your but one or two. Normally, a good journal they allow maybe 1 to 3. Okay, not more than 3. The self-citations. Okay, so because one paper to tell one pin, one idea. So by right, you need to have only one self-citation. But maybe some they allow but 2. The best is but 2, you know. I maintain but 2 or 3 self-citation for each paper. It's required actually. Good paper must have self-citation. But if you have excessive means you have 50 reference, you have 10, 20, and it's not related to your current paper. Sometimes you self-cited the paper that unrelated with your current paper. So this the issue. So self-citation is required actually, but extensive is not advisable, is unethical. Okay, I hope this answer your question. Any other questions?
Are there any other questions for Prof. Sulaiman, please? Yeah, I think maybe very clear your presentation, Prof. So not many questions. So yeah, so if there are no more questions, I'd like to bring the Q&A session to close as well as to. Okay, we have a question. All right, yeah.
Okay, I think maybe I answer this. How long most of the submitted article? It depends on the journals, you know. Because journal you cannot write too long. Normally, the maximum is 6 pages. If you have more than 6 pages, you need to pay for that, and the charge is very expensive. You know, it's very expensive. Normally, I submit a free journal, but if you have more pages, more than the allowable pages, we need to pay. Maybe I think about more than 1,000, maybe 1,000, more than 1,000 ringgit per page. So it's very expensive. And then, yeah, of them normally about 4 to 6. It depends on the type of article also. If letter should be shorter, maybe 3 or 4 pages, but normal paper maybe 6. And then review should be more. Maybe they allow about 8 pages. So this depends on the type of journal. Okay, so too short also is not good because it's less information. The chance to get accepted is higher if your paper is longer. This okay, but it's for certain journal, like normally for letter you need to have high novelty. high novelty, but short but very high novelty. If your novelty is low, you can write long papers. In the normal paper, you not necessary to have the high novelty. Okay, but if you write letter, must be high novelty. Okay, I hope that answer the question.
Thank you again, Prof. Any other questions for Prof
Okay.
before we conclude?
How I start writing. Yeah? So my English is not good. It's not like so when I start, when I in doing my master, so I start writing. Normally, first I copy, and change. I copy with many resources, when I student there. But in those days, nobody care about publication. In those days, so you read a lot of paper, you take the explanation because your English is not good. You take little bit from this paper, little bit from that paper. You refer from 10 different paper. You mix and become yours. But the result is your result. Of course, the result you cannot copy it from others. But the explanation you need to copy. And then when I find something, people explain very good about my topic. Normally, I write down that one, the explanation. I write down, and I use in my publication in those days when I start. But now I know how to manipulate lah. But when I start, it's like that. In those days, we don't have online submission. When you want to submit the paper, you need to have hard copy. Submit three copy by post and go to US journal, and then they return after 1 month, 2 months. They return, and then you need to answer the reviewer comment, send back. But in those days, more time consuming, more difficult to publish. It's not easy like today. But the number of paper less. It's not really difficult also because not much comment, because now they can get a referee from all over the world, so this the difference between in those days and now. But I start is like that. So that's why don't scare your student. Sometimes your student copy a little bit, you need to you improve lah. You improve the language. My English was not good, so I have other senior mentor, so I forced them to check my paper. So you need to go to them. They will check your paper. The people that good in English will check your paper. So you need to do like that. So because I always write, so that's why I build up my skill on the writing. Okay, I hope I answer everything.
Thank you again, Prof, for elaborating. Any other questions for Prof?
Okay, so for student, how I handle my student. In those days, I write paper with students side by side. I sit by the student. I write the paper, but student beside me. I teach them. But now I have many more students, a lot of students now, and more busy now. So I cannot do like that anymore. But now, my student normally they write the first draft. So they don't finish the paper. I ask them to write as much as the student can, and then I will correct the paper. I will correct everything, and then send to journals. So student will see the first paper, of course, very bad. The second paper, the student will improve. When the student want to graduate after 3 years, so they become expert. So they know how to write. Actually, they learn the example from us, so they know. Okay, so this is how I handle the students. But not many students can write. You know, some students cannot write. You know, some students at the end I need to help until they finish. Some students, you know, but most of them they learn and then they can write after finishing the study, so they can write their own paper. And
thank you, Prof. So maybe one final question, if there is one final question before we conclude. Okay, so maybe it seems like no more questions, Prof. So maybe we conclude here. So thank you so much again, Prof. Sulaiman, on behalf of Faculty of Computing and Informatics UMS, for your time and effort to deliver this very frank and engaging talk. Many useful experiences you have shared with us. So thank you so much again, Prof. Sulaiman.
Okay, thank you very much again to all UMS members. Okay, hope can collaborate in future. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sulaiman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Sulaiman. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.